Hey RJ, how you doing?
Doing well, Harry. How are you?
Doing well. I'm blowing my ears out here with the audio tonight. I'll tell you what. Happy holidays from the Alternative Football News Network, AFN Talk, live here Thursday night. Special guest coming up here later on tonight. We have the IFL, the Indoor Football League's newest team from Columbus, Ohio. The Columbus Wild Dogs coach, Bobby Oliver, is going to be here right now. This is our Christmas present to you here in the dumpster fire year that has been 2020. We
Yep.
have, oh my God, what a year it's been for football. We have had, well, what a year it hasn't been for football, should we say. Nothing.
Honestly,
Nothing.
though,
We've got the NFL. That has been basically it all started. It all started with the launch of the XFL. We were so pumped, so hyped, so worked up to see what Vince McMahon, Oliver Luck, June Jones, everybody involved in that league had cooked up for us. And we loved it. It was awesome. It was football. It was football, not quite at the same level as the NFL, but just a couple
but it
steps
wasn't far
behind.
off.
It was just a couple steps behind. And then
And then
the almighty vid hits.
the virus.
The virus. That's right. The pandemic. And guess what happens? Well, when you're in a money-making endeavor such as the XFL, you need those fans.
In your first season,
Pardon me?
as well, because I don't want to hear a wise ass comment. Well, the NFL went on. Yeah, it's 100 years old. It's the richest sports league in the world.
Very true. Even the NBA had to adjust its season. MLB must have had to adjust their season. Indoor hockey, the hockey.
Everyone did.
Everyone, you're right. Everyone.
Yeah, indoor hockey.
Indoor hockey. Well, hockey's always indoor, right? Well, wait a minute. No. I'm sure up in Canada.
Exactly. Wait for you to figure that out.
Yeah, up in Canada, they probably have outdoor hockey. I am absolutely positively sure that the Canadians like to play their hockey outside.
Oh yeah. Well, like they have. Well, also NHL's like the Winter Classic once a year, which is the excuse to get the biggest crowds possible.
All I know is that hockey is a brutal sport. Men lose their teeth on a daily basis. The hockey is brutal. And the fact that RJ's froze up here is even more brutal because look at that face, folks. These are the miracles of the internet that we have in this day and age. The miracle of the internet. It's just to see there we go. He's back.
Yes, I am back, folks. It's one of those favorite things in the world when you buy an expensive piece of equipment and then it's like, nah.
That's the joy of owning a product with a battery that cannot be replaced.
I mean, it can be, but it's also really expensive and I'd rather save the money for things like food.
So
gasoline.
RJ, I gotta ask you. I'm a little bit too old, but what do you want Santa to bring you this year?
Well, so it's actually what has been brought this year. I was getting the Xbox Series X for my birthday in November, but nobody has the darn thing, so I'm still waiting very, very patiently.
Why why Xbox over PS5?
Easy. So Xbox Series X has full backwards compatibility with Xbox One, Xbox 360, and original Xbox.
Okay.
All of which I own games for.
So am I a dinosaur because my favorite game system ever was the PS3? Actually, it was the N64.
I don't think
was
you're
my
a
favorite.
dinosaur for that. Like you didn't just say Magnavox Odyssey. At the same time, I think people will say PS2 over PS3 almost every day of the week.
Now, look. I'm very proud that about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I went to a pawn shop and they had an Atari 2600, an original, on that I bought.
We gotta review some like old Atari football games sometime. We gotta do that.
Bleep, 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 bleep. That's what they sound like. Bleep, 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 bleep. Actually, I think I might go on eBay and see if I can't scrounge up some of the classics, some of the Atari. I think I might collect all the Atari 2600 cartridges for the video games. Now, folks out there listening and watching on YouTube and Facebook Live, you can get these emulators and get the ROMs and stuff and play these on your own PC. And to be honest with you, there is something to be said about the charm of an 8-bit computer system. Actually, those were 4 bits. 8-bit was Nintendo. 16-bit was the Super Nintendo, and then we moved on to the 64-bit systems, and finally now
Yeah,
we're
worst
up
game
to the
run
actual.
Virtual Boy ever happened.
I think the only difference between an Xbox One or the new Xbox and a PC is they don't chip with a keyboard and mouse, but I understand you can hook a keyboard and mouse to them. You can actually run Windows 10 on these things.
Oh yeah.
And
And I want it because I want to play Doug Flutie's Maximum Football 2020. And if you're a guy who grew up in the mid 2000s and had any of the old Madden games and reminisced about them, then see any of the current ones, which are horrible. Harry, guess how bad they've gotten?
how bad are they, RJ?
They have had to eliminate the kickoff because it's so glitchy and just start you at the 25-yard line. Mind you, this is the NFL's exclusive simulation football producer.
Well, who produces that game?
EA.
EA Sports. Of course, the one company that will sell you a game for $60 and then for the next 20 years you will pay through the nose to continue playing because they have these things called loot crates. Or wait a minute.
Transactions and
Downloadable content, the most horrible thing to happen to EA games. Look, folks, let me explain. I am a huge fan. I love the Fallout franchise. However, I'm intelligent enough to wait until the Fallout 4 goes on sale. And yes, I just got Fallout 4 this summer. Why? Because this summer it went on sale for $30 with all the downloadable content. I didn't have to pay $12, $15 for each one of the DLCs. Then I broke down, it went on sale, so I bought Fallout 76. And let me tell you, folks, the thing that pisses me off about Fallout 76 is the assholes out there who want to shoot me when all I want to do is explore the wilderness. I will fight with the animals. I will kill the creatures and things like that. But I'm not out to fight with other players in this game. That is not what I want in my Fallout. I did not have it in Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4. Why the hell do I have it in... Hey, Bethesda, do me and do the... Microsoft. Let's talk to Microsoft right now because they're the ones who now own this franchise. Microsoft, do us a favor. Give us a version of 76 that is a standalone that I can give you. I will give you my $60. Just give me a standalone version with quests and with everything that I love to do in my Fallout games. But quit allowing people to murder me at level 1. I played the game for a minute. So, hey, Bobby, how you doing?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Merry Christmas, man. How are you?
Merry Christmas to you as well.
See, folks, we told you we had Coach Bobby Olive of the IFL Columbus Wild Dogs here. Hey, Bobby, you're down in Columbus, Ohio. I'm up here in Akron. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm down in Atlanta, Georgia right now. I'm not in Columbus at the moment.
What are you doing in Atlanta? What the heck is in Atlanta?
I'm from born and raised. I'm from Atlanta.
Okay.
All right.
See, hey, Bobby.
You guys have reasons. I'm just stuck here in Connecticut because it's like
No.
I don't know. My parents made a bad choice.
Don't worry. Your state don't matter. Never did. Never will. Hey, Bobby. I got 2 letters for you, and I want you to respond to OH.
I know.
Thank you. All right, hyped up here tonight. We have indoor football leagues. Bobby Olive. He is the coach of the newest IFL team, the Columbus Wild Dogs. Bobby, I'll make you a promise. You guys play next year. I'm coming down to see you play. I'm going to talk to you live and in person at Nationwide Arena, which, by the way, folks, may be haunted. Now, I'm going to tell you why.
I look
Because
forward.
because that arena sits on the grounds of the old Ohio State Penitentiary.
Yep, that's right.
Now,
Which Harry wouldn't stop telling me.
now, Bobby,
Right.
Bobby, I used to live in Columbus, Ohio, down on West Fifth, on West Fifth there, West Fifth and High Street. So I used to go by
Okay.
there. I walked by there every day to work before they had the arena built. And I'll tell
Wow.
you, yeah, man, it was that long ago, man. I'm that old. Look, dude, Dirt came to me and said, "Hey, man, you're old." All right. So I got a question for you, and then RJ. RJ loves the IFL, man. This is his thing. He's one of the reasons why I am hyped. He's one of the reasons why we got involved in the alternative football. Um, and I'm gonna let RJ talk with you tonight. I'm gonna sit back and listen. But I have a question for you.
Okay.
Everybody's heard. We all know about the NFL, of course. The not my football league is what I like to call it. Although I will say, I'm very proud to be a Cleveland Browns fan this season.
Okay.
Very proud.
Yes, for sure.
They are showing potential, and if they keep it up, they have a team. I think we got a shot at the playoffs, and I also think we have a team right now that if the right pieces are put in place, we could be building a team that might be able to get to the Super Bowl. Now that's wishful
I agree.
thinking. Now,
I agree with that. I think if you look at the offense and defense, I think it all boils down to how Baker Mayfield plays. How does he develop as a quarterback? If he continues to develop and he look like he looked Monday Night Football,
Mhm.
you're right. Cleveland Brown they're gonna be a team to be reckoned with. So they're on the right path right now.
I just my hopes is that the Haslams have faith in this guy and don't dump him because they don't make it to the playoffs, they don't make it to the Super Bowl. Have faith in this guy. Let him do what all great quarterbacks have had the opportunity to do, and that is mature.
That's
Because
right. He's looking really good right now. Right
and
now, he's playing at a high level. Right now, his confidence is through the roof. So yeah, they Cleveland right now, they're really good.
now I will say this though about Baker Mayfield: if you've never seen an indoor or an arena game, and you think some of these, I'm going to call them chumps that play in the NFL, could hang,
Uh,
you are dead wrong. I have seen men take hits, and they go slamming down on that hard. They are playing on a AstroTurf covered, hard concrete floor inside of an arena, folks. This is not the earth. It does not have any give. I saw a boy take a hit. He flipped over, landed on his back, got up, and kept running. Now, that is impressive. That is the play that got me hooked. That
oh,
I'm
it's you definitely got to be tough to play arena football. That's for sure. And like I tell people all the time, those walls are undefeated.
yeah, yeah. And folks, indoor and arena football, it is a very hard hitting sport. It is not, the gameplay isn't the same. I'm going to let RJ take over here after this, but this is not the same football that you're used to. However, it is football. It is football being played by athletes that deserve the opportunity to move up into a league that will pay them millions of dollars for their abilities. And one of the things that has so pissed me off is that the big guys, those 32 billionaires that own those teams around the United
31
States.
Green Bay's owned by the city.
Huh?
31 Green Bay's owned by the city.
Green Bay don't matter. But those guys need to open their eyes, and if you want guys that will remind you of your Larry Zonkas, of the men who went out there on the field. Joe Theismann, that man broke his leg, had a
Right.
bone come through his calf. Probably the
Please,
most,
I don't need the mental image.
one of the most, the dude, it was one of the most gruesome injuries in football history happened live on television, if you will.
Yeah, Monday night. Yeah, that was a Monday night football game.
It was. I remember sitting there and being like, please don't show a replay. I can't
Right.
take it. I can't take it. And I was young back then. But
Yeah.
these men were tough. They went out there and they understood that football isn't a game. It's a war. It is a battle to see which team is the greatest for that season of
I
that
swear,
day.
you sound like an old NFL films production right now.
You know why? Because the NFL 20 years ago is not the NFL I got now. I have a bunch of pansies out on the field who whine and complain because they stubbed their toe. Oh, I bumped my toe on the bench, coach. I need to go back and see the trainer and get it worked out. You know what happened back when people like Zonka and Madden and those guys were on the field? They broke a bone. They fixed that break. They went out and played some more football.
Jack
Proof.
Youngblood,
Proof.
Broken leg, I'll play 3 games on that, including the Pro Bowl, which is completely optional.
Bernie Kosar broke his fingers during a game. Popsicle sticks and some athletic tape. Went back out and finished that game. Okay? Went back out and finished that game. When I cannot stand the fact that everything is a penalty. When you hit a man too hard, he hit me too hard, you need to call a penalty. You are playing football. There is no such thing as being hit too hard. If you are that much of a pansy, get the hell out the game. And you know what? You need to go somewhere. You need to do something with yourself. You know what you need to go do? You need to go do something like skateboarding. Something like that, some low impact sports. Because you ain't ready for the prime time. That's my personal opinion. And as we all know here on AFN Talk, the views and opinions expressed of the gangsters are not necessarily those of this network or Smoky Mountain Wrestling. There you go, RJ. Got it in for you. RJ, pick his brain. Let's see what he's got.
All right. So, first, thank you for coming on, Bobby. Great to have you here. Now, we just watched Spring League finish up its first real season in any big spotlight. What are your thoughts on indoor players looking at that as a step up, or do you think that, maybe it's better to just wait for an XFL to come back and stay the indoor route instead of going Spring League?
Well, my thing is football is really a short-lived career. If you look at the average career as far as pro football, you're talking about maybe 3-4 years on the average. So I would never tell a guy to, hey, wait for my team next year, just hold out this year. I will always say the more the merrier. So there's like a spring league out and you want to get some reps to get on the field. I mean, I would definitely recommend they do that because, like I said, football is such a violent sport and it's so short-lived and it can end in one hit. So I always try to stress and emphasize the guys that they continue to play. They're really passionate about playing football. You just continue to play for as long as you can.
Yeah, because we've said it a few times before on the show about Bears repeating. A lot of these leagues that are not named NFL or XFL,
Right.
okay, it's like, what is an IFL, like 200?
It's about $250 per game, and you got
that's before tax, right?
a little more, but it's anywhere between $200 and $400 a game.
Right, which is like nothing to sneeze at, but at the same time, it's not going to be your full-time job.
Right, and that's another thing because most of these guys they have regular jobs too as well. So you really have to. You talk about you get a kid that's going to come in and play for let's say $300 a game. You talking about someone that's really passionate about football, and you just that's just the way the land is right now. So we have to. You're not going to get those guys out of maybe who started at Ohio State, fresh out of school. You probably won't get those guys. You get those guys who went to a much smaller, maybe a D3 or D2 school. Like a lot of teams are built, with those type of players, and like those type of players typically might not get a chance to play pro football like on the NFL or the CFL type of level. So a lot of times you end up getting those guys. But what I've seen, those guys a lot more hungry too. So you get a better effort from those guys, the guys you might normally get who might come out of like a Power Five school.
Yeah, and I think that is a very good point because we hear about the big school guys who make it. That's just how the NFL draft works. But in indoor ball, there is no draft, which I always find interesting because it makes free agency that much more hectic, and there are no
Right.
real long-term deals.
Right. Everything is year to year. So it really forces you as a coach and as a coaching staff, we really try to scout the state that we're in because just think about it. Just think about it. You're in Ohio and you find a kid out in California that can really play. It's going to be hard to convince him to come way over from California to Columbus, Ohio, to play for $300 a game. So we really try to stay local-ish, like within the state. You try to cherry pick for those type of guys. So we really
Well,
got to
it
do.
helps you're in Ohio. I mean, if you were in Connecticut, I think you'd have a bigger issue because there's not really a spirit of football culture. Ohio and football are synonymous with each other.
Oh, no doubt about it. You have a lot of colleges. You got all these MAC schools. You got, I mean, right in Columbus, you got Ohio Dominican, you got Capital. I mean, I think Ohio probably have over 40 schools. So just in the state of Ohio alone, you can put together a full team.
Which I think is important to have local players, not only for the fact it's easier to convince them, but when you do outreach work, that's also a big thing about indoor and arena ball that's not talked about as much. Players, in my opinion, are a lot more personable. I can
Right.
walk up to them and feel like, hey, you're playing the game that I love, but like at the end of the day, we're still kind of, in the same boat as like, I work a job and we look forward to the weekends. It's like it's a great thing, a great connection, especially for the kids and the young fans out there, because like when you get to talk to a player you watch on a regular basis, that really sticks with you.
That's very true. It's a very fan friendly type league. It's up close and in person, so you get a lot of guys who really develop a relationship with the fans because you're so close up on them. After the game, a lot of you got they sign autographs after every game, so it's just a real personal sport. Like you said, a lot of you guys are not like big money guys or whatever, so you're gonna get those guys who you get a lot of local guys who are really fan friendly, good in the community, and so and just really approachable type dudes.
Absolutely. If you want to talk up close and personal, I went to New York Streets game last year in the NAL, and Marty Gilliard flew over the boards and nearly crushed me. Like as the IFL says, you can keep the ball, you cannot keep the player.
That's right. You can definitely keep the ball. With those balls are nice. That's another cool thing. The ball going to stands, you can keep the ball. So I think that's a pretty cool thing.
It is because, like, I got my collection going right now. Ones I'm getting off eBay, and let me tell you, they go for a pretty penny among the collectors. By that I mean like $20. But like for older leagues, like try finding one for the AIFA West. Good luck.
Oh, I know. And those, like I said, these leagues are so, like a lot of these leagues, they'll start, they'll finish, they go for 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 years, and then they'll end. So those balls become like a collection piece.
Yeah, and like leagues have come and they've gone, and like that's what impresses me about the IFL because it's the best merger you've ever seen out of indoor or arena football. IFL, for those who are not aware, came from a merger of the Intense Football League and United Indoor Football, and in 2000, at the end of the 2008 season, starting 2009. And throughout, then the IFL has really done a phenomenal job of making sure everybody, has the right ownership model, a good amount of money, but not exorbitant amounts, not the kind of lines of credit you
Right,
need for, say, the
right.
NAL or the AFL when it was around, but is still consistently putting out a really good product. And the number of teams coming and leading is very minimal.
That's very true, and that's one thing I like about the IFL. It has a lot of stability. It's not one of those leagues. Like I said, you have a league that's been around over 10 years, that they doing something right. And they're also a league that you look at. They have some former AFL teams. You got the Iowa Barnstormers, who used to be in the AFL. You got the Arizona not Rangers, the Arizona Rattlers. It used to be an AFL team. So it's a strong, solid league that I like. And and then you got the Columbus about to have a team now who used to be the Columbus Destroyers, but Columbus is a great city to have arena football who love it. So I think
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, it's got to be fun coaching in the city of your alma mater, Ohio State. Like,
oh yeah, the Ohio State, right?
yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
it'd be fun. I mean, Columbus is all about Ohio State, but I can tell you this. By me being a former Buckeye, and we're gonna have a hopefully we can get a couple of ex-Buckeyes on the team. That's my goal. But it just make it that much friendlier and just that much like a must watch. We have ex-Buckeyes out there, so that's my goal. At least try to have 4 or 5 former Buckeyes out there. So we'll see.
yeah. That's the thing. Like you said, local talent's also important from a marketing standpoint because a lot easier for these fans to come see the college players that they watched when they were, at, in your case, the Horseshoe, in my case, the dilapidated Yale Bowl.
Oh yeah, for sure. If we can get a couple of ex-Buckeye, it doesn't even matter if these guys are in their 30s. Ohio, it's just that much more support. So hopefully we can get some of these guys. That's my goal. But yeah, the more the merrier, and it definitely makes marketing a lot easier.
Yeah. Now, Wild Dogs kick off in spring of 22. We were going to kick off this year, but then the pandemic happened.
I know
Yeah.
it's
So
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah,
Besides, so like when 22 comes around, and besides winning the United Bowl because that's going to be the answer everyone would give, and it's the right answer. You want to win a championship.
right.
Like when the Wild Dogs set out to play for the first time, what's one of your goals for the team besides winning the United Bowl?
But one thing I want to do is I want to be a really good team playing at home. We want to win all of our home games, that's for sure. The one thing we want to do, we want to establish a good foundation and we want to have a winning program. We want to create a hostile environment for the opposing team when they come play us at Columbus, and then we just kind of build from there.
I think that's really important. And, obviously, home field advantage is something that every year, except for this year in the NFL, is so important. Because, like again, I went to all the New York Streets games last year. Westchester County Center was a very quiet place a lot of the time.
Right, right.
And also, again, indoor arena ball, the money that you see with the NFL and in college programs isn't there. So you're taking a lot of long bus rides. So you got like your legs all cramped up and stuff. So it really is a disadvantage for those away games.
It is I mean, it's a disadvantage. I mean, you look at the map geographically, Boston and Columbus, we got teams in North Dakota, South Dakota, Arizona. It's kind of really spread out. So you're right. And I would like to think that we won't be riding the bus down to Arizona, but or like the state of Washington, but we'll see. And we just really my emphasis is gonna really be to have a really good home. We want to play well at home and be a good home team, and then we kind of focus on those tough road games.
Yeah, RJ, let me jump in here real quick. You're talking about the state of Ohio, and we are probably second only. I think we're. I know football is huge in the state of Texas. It's like the state sport in
That's
Texas,
something else entirely.
and in Florida, it's the same thing. It's like a state sport. Ohio, football is king here. We love our football. We love our look, RJ. I know that you like those Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
RJ's a Steelers fan, so that goes to show that he has very little taste. But but Ohio, our state football is the passion for the game here in this state is probably second to. I don't even think it's second to Texas because I don't think Texans understand how much we love football in this state. You got to think, RJ. We got a team down in Cincinnati that has consistently been a bad team. We got a team up in Cleveland that consistently breaks the hearts of its fans. And yet, they're still here. And the fans, we fought to keep the name of our team. Unlike the Washington football team. We fought to keep our name.
Or like or like when the Colts left Baltimore
E-
overnight in the
Right.
Mayflower trucks.
Right.
Exactly. But and the passion we have for the game, I promise you, once the IFL gets launched in Columbus, Ohio, because in Columbus, football, I don't care, it could be January 1st or December 31st. That whole year, the only thing that matters is, are the Buckeyes playing today? When you go to Columbus for a Buckeyes football game, you are in for one. This is worse than an amusement park with the number of people you will see on campus. You cannot get a car through there. You can't get a seat at a restaurant. Bobby, I'm gonna bring up a name. I'm curious to see if you ever been there. Planks on Parsons.
Who's that?
Planks on Parsons. The favorite restaurant of one
Oh,
Woody Hayes.
yeah. What they make the sandwiches?
No, they got the German food there.
Where is it? Is it near campus?
No, Planks. No, campus is where you got the. There's a lot of stuff on campus. They got bomb food on campus at places you never even think would have great food. But Planks is up on Parsons up in Germantown.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
man.
know.
They make a pizza that is out of this world, dude. They do cabbage rolls on Thursday nights. Well, I don't know about now due to COVID restrictions, but dude, when I lived in Columbus, man, Thursday nights, cabbage rolls. Um, they make homemade Salisbury. Everything's homemade there. It's made from scratch. I used
I'm
to
gonna
work.
go check it out.
Yeah, I used to work there when I lived in Columbus, dude. I worked at two different jobs. One was a nightclub, and I worked at Planks on Parsons in the day and a nightclub at night. And dude, oh my God, go in there and order the large deluxe pizza. Best pizza you've ever had. They make their crust with German beer. Oh, it's awesome.
I'm gonna go check it out. I'm a big pizza guy too. I'm definitely gonna go check
Yeah,
it out.
it was Woody Hayes' favorite place to go eat. So
Okay.
yeah, it's awesome. You walk in and they got souvenir balls from different bowl games and stuff the Bucks were in. They've got autographed pictures of players from the 50s and 60s and 70s. Man, it's an awesome place to go, and the atmosphere is just so. It's got like the old wood floors, and it's just a great place to go eat. So I'm giving a little bit of promotion to one of the best restaurants in Columbus, Ohio.
And what's the name of it again?
Planks on Parsons.
Okay.
P L A
You know,
N K
Cook is
S.
serious when he gets the pen out.
I'm gonna tell you what.
Oh,
And you know what? I know the Wild Dogs are gonna be a winning team because they're in Ohio, so they got to be winners. You need to take that team out there for a celebratory victory. When in their first season they take the IFL championship because they're from Ohio. I'm
I
gonna.
want to check it out.
This will be Ohio's first time having an IFL team. They've had teams in other leagues, like obviously the AFL and AIFA and all its various
Well,
Yep.
divisions.
look at what the
But this is the
Cleveland
first
team
time
did.
IFL team because IFL was out east in the very early 2010s and then really moved back west. Now it's moved back out east. Where if you had your say, if you wanted to get like a good rival nearby, where would you say? If you were the IFL, say where would you put a team?
A good rival.
Yeah.
The best, the most ideal rival would be to have a team that's in that state up north. That'll make sense in Ohio.
Oh, that place.
Yeah, you get a team up there, that'll be a really nice rival.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
got
man.
to put them in the right city. You can't throw them. You can't put them in because look, the Big Ten is loaded. The Big Ten is one of the absolute best divisions in all of the NCAA, and no one can knock that. Consistently one of the best. And if you're from Ohio, your favorite team should always be the Buckeyes. As a matter of fact, if you're not bleeding scarlet and gray, well, then you got a problem.
Right.
Well, bleeding scarlet is normal for all people, I think.
Yeah, but that gray coming out shows that you're a Buck. I'm telling you what.
I check the water you're drinking.
Pardon me?
I check what water you're drinking then.
Oh, we know our water's tainted. We're in Ohio. But the rivalry that we have, and that's the bad part about this year, is we didn't get the game.
I know, yeah, that was a shame.
And
Yeah.
our,
I think
go ahead.
I think Michigan kind of pulled a fast one on us.
So do I. I think they did it on purpose. They was like, "Oh, let's
I
do
think they did
this.
on purpose. Yeah, they did.
Let's
I
do
did.
this. Let's do this." And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, you forfeited. We won.
Yeah.
We still got a trophy that says we better than you. How many times?
Yeah.
And it's a shame because, to be honest, that's the Super Bowl of college football. I'm sorry. That is the one game that all fans, even RJ's got to admit, the Buckeyes in Michigan State, Michigan, the Wolverines, dude, that is a must-see football game for any college
Oh,
football
no
fan.
doubt about it. Yep.
I mean, Coach, speaking of the rivalry, what was your experience like being on the sidelines and being in the game for some of those?
You talking about the Michigan game?
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that's like a. I mean, for me, I just remember my freshman year, which was unfortunate. That was Earl Brewster's last season. That was my freshman year. The year before those headbands had Earl on it. So that was my first experience of a Michigan game. I just remember. I remember the week of the Michigan game. 'Cause every day, guys, we bring out the blue and the gold tape. They paint. They tape their helmets up, and like our scout team guys, they would like fix their helmets up to look like a Michigan helmet. So I just remember that, and I just remember how passionate like everyone was about that particular game. So it really took me about 2 years before I really understood just how deep and how big of a deal that was. I didn't really get it to probably like my sophomore season, like just how big of a game that really was.
Mm-hmm.
It was an honor to play in that game. I mean, I'll never forget it. I mean, it was just, the first game was at Michigan, so it was like 100. Back then, they had like 106 people at the game, which was a lot. It was cold, and it was just a gritty game, and it was just a dogfight. So I mean, that's the experience I'll never forget.
And that's
All right. What would you say is the closest IFL equivalent rival game?
The closest IFL rival game, uh, what's it? I think it's a team in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, River Kings.
I think so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the closest because we're kind of far in that.
Yeah,
Other
you're the
teams.
closest team to the Pirates, who are all by themselves on the East Coast here.
Right. So now I guess they might be our rivals. So it is now. I think Louisville. I heard might convert to an IFL team.
Yes,
So
they did. They
they
got,
did.
yes, they did. Yeah, NAL said something about line of credit. IFL, took them in immediately.
So now Louisville could be in the IFL.
Yep.
So that probably be our rival. That's like what about 4 hours from Columbus, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that far.
not even
Yeah,
that because
so-
I'm 5 hours out from Cincinnati up here in Northeast Ohio, so it's more like probably 2.5.
Yeah,
and
so
they're
yeah,
free
they
to fly,
probably be our
too.
rival.
Yeah, the only thing is look, I just wish Kentucky would go ahead and annex Cincinnati so we don't have that burden. Just saying. I'm just saying. You've been in Ohio. You know what I'm talking about, Coach. Um,
Right.
Mike, here's my curiosity. Being an expansion team, uh, with the IFL, and we can see the IFL wants to grow. They want to be the premier indoor arena football league. We can see that in the moves that the league has been making. And do you think that the IFL brand itself? Now we know this brand is getting some national attention lately. We know that ESPN is looking. They had a deal with the AFL. Okay, so we know that the things like ESPN are looking for an indoor product. Um, with that being said, the expansion wishes of this league. Do you see them forming a Northeast division where, like, oh, maybe they do try to branch out into someplace like Ann Arbor or Lansing, maybe hit someplace up in Wisconsin, try to get an Illinois team, bring in someone from Indiana, maybe a PA. Tennessee, I could see as ripe grounds for a football team. Football is a big deal down in the Tennessee's clamoring for something. Some sport, they love their sports in that state. Do you think that the IFL could use the Columbus team to? My first question would probably be to move into Cleveland, where we know that the AFL had huge success with the Cleveland team. And that's a ripe market because people in Cleveland will come out for indoor and arena football. They do like it there. 3 teams in a division. Uh, do you feel that with the one of expansion that the IFL might be looking to expand into states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois, places like that to form these divisions?
Well, I think Cleveland would definitely be a good spot for an IFL team because they've experienced arena football before several times. They had a lot of success there, and their fans, like Columbus, Ohio, the city of Cleveland is very passionate when it comes to football. So I do think that'll be a good. I don't know about Cincinnati. They've tried it a lot of different times, but they always kind of went for a year and they fold, go for another year.
Yeah, it's like their most recent one I think was like the Rockers back in like the early 90s. Pardon me, what am I saying?
Right. Yeah.
It was
Yeah. So
during
yeah,
that.
Cincinnati might not be the ideal place for arena football, but I definitely agree with Cleveland. I think Cleveland could be a good potential destination.
What about a
Well,
place like Ann Arbor? We know the passion Michigan has for the game.
Yeah, I think so, possibly.
I think that Indianapolis would be a state ripe for the pickings if you got a
Right.
football
They
team
had
there.
Indianapolis had an AFL team before, so
Yeah, and I think all those markets that were in the now defunct AFL, I think all those markets should be potential. These are places where the IFL should be looking and saying, hey,
right.
they
Like
would,
Grand Rapids, Michigan. Grand Rapids had a really good fan base.
yeah,
Oh,
and
I always had a soft spot for the Rampage, just like purely because they're my favorite team on arena football road to glory by
I,
far.
and here's the
Yeah,
thing:
right.
we know the AFL folded, uh, basically because the guys at the top. It seems to me they got that little deal going with ESPN. They got greedy and they
It
overextended
was a
themselves.
lawsuit from like a former insurance provider that put them
Right.
under.
Well, the whole thing is that finances killed them. What about the IFL reaching out to Grand Rapids and saying, "Hey, you had a success there. How about bringing that team into our league?" And
That's Kansas City. Yeah.
yeah, I think that would be cool because I am all for the proliferation of alternative football. RJ knows that. I am so depressed that we did not get seasons this year. I'm so I have been a fan of football since I was 8 years old, and I'm now in my 50s. I'm headed toward my mid 50s. And I didn't discover arena football till last year, and I watched the first game, and I was hooked. I was like, okay, I want to see this. It so much reminded me of what I grew up on in the 70s and the 80s with the hard hitting action, players who they absorbed the pain and got back up. And it's like when you're playing football, you have to have I know they have all the equipment on, but when we're young, we're kids, we're out there with our buddies at the high school football field passing the ball around with each other on a Saturday afternoon. Um it's you hit, you absorb the punishment, you take the pain, and you get up and you continue to play. And that's what I saw in the arena and indoor leagues that I wasn't seeing in the NFL. These guys aren't afraid to take a hit. They have that passion of I don't care if the guy's 35, 40 years old. He's got the passion of a teenager out there playing, and all he cares about is being the best and making that play and showing that he's got what it takes to be the absolute best in his league. And that is something that sets the IFL, the NAL, and the former AFL apart from the NFL.
Yeah.
You know, um, about like the guys when you're scouting, when you're out there looking for players to put on your team, what are you looking for in a player?
Well, and I get a ton of film, but I like the person. I like to see guys in person. Honestly, you can send me a highlight film, and of course, you're gonna send me a. You see a 60 play game, you'll probably send me 4 plays from that particular game. I like to look at those other 56 plays personally, just see what kind of player you are. But for arena league, I just look for passionate guys. I mean, it's such a bottleneck field. It's so small. You don't have to be blazing fast or super quick. You just need to have passion. So I look for guys who are very passionate, that's very well, that's very like skill set, have a really good skill set for football, a high IQ type guys. But I really look for passion. That's the number one. If I had to say one word that would describe the type of player I look for a guy that's very passionate about football. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think that's really fair because, like we said earlier, like you gotta be willing to run into those dasher boards, potentially go over them, run into a few people's laps who may or may not accidentally spill beer on you, and then get right back up for the next play
That's
because
right.
tick tock, clock's running here.
It takes a different. I mean, it's a special guy. You gotta think about it. You look at money. You talking about a guy. You talking about $200 or $300 a game. It takes a very passionate guy to really do that full time for a full season. You talking about 16 games. So you gotta have a pretty passionate guy who's willing to do that.
Yeah, and like something I've always found interesting, and I've heard some players talk about it, but from a coaching perspective, how do you coach a guy who's just come from the outdoor game into the world of indoor ball?
Well, it all depends on his position. It is a bit of a transition. Say, for example, he's a wide receiver. A wide receiver, that's not as big of a transition from outdoor ball to indoor ball. But for like a defensive lineman, because you got to consider most of these guys play on both sides of the football. So a wide receiver more than likely going to play cornerback as well. A defensive lineman needs to know how to play offensive lineman, or vice versa. Offensive lineman going to have to know how to play defensive lineman. A linebacker going to have to make plays for running back. It's a real versatile type league. So you're going to tend to get those guys who are considered a little undersized on the outdoor field, but it's perfect for the indoor game. So it takes a special guy. And like you have a guy who has to be very versatile to play on both sides of football.
Yeah, definitely. And, like people have clamored for the return of Iron Man football. As the AFL used to market it. In reality, it's still there. You just are looking in the wrong place. Like look at the IFL. You got an NAL. You know, it's something that's easy to overlook because you don't think about it so much. But then when you sit back and think on it for a couple minutes, you realize how incredible it is. The NFL hasn't had a 60-minute since Chuck Van Derrick in the late 50s, early
Right.
60s.
Right. So it's different. I mean, you gotta be a tough dude to be able to do that. So, one thing I can say, a real football guy is probably more tougher than a guy who played outdoor football, more than likely. It takes a really tough dude to play indoor football. Trust me. You have to do to run into a wall or get slammed up into a wall, which is like I said, that wall is undefeated to this day. And it ain't going nowhere. You're not gonna move that ball, and but you got to be a pretty tough dude to be willing to do that.
Absolutely. Again, like some of the hits you see, especially for a fan, the favorite play is the over the wall hit, and that's probably the player's worst nightmare.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and me being a wide receiver, the last thing I want to do is get slammed up against a wall. So it's a skill that you learn to not hit the wall as hard, or like a certain way you want to hit the wall. You don't want to go face first or head first for sure. You might want to go sideways. It's just a way you learn how to even run into the wall as you get more experience in this
Yeah,
type.
and the wall is hell for the receivers, but if you're on defense, you gotta love it.
Oh, you love it because you can slam a guy to the wall. So yeah, they defensive backs love the wall. Plus, um, a guy playing on the outside of you, he only can go so far because the wall is right there. So you can kind of dictate the plays a little bit. You can kind of cheat a little bit, so to speak, if you play defensive back because of the wall. So a lot of me as a coach, defensively, you can kind of use the wall to your advantage sometimes because there's certain things the offense just can't do.
Definitely. And we talk about the walls and stuff. Most and this is especially universal in the IFL. They all play at like hockey arenas and they take down the glass and everything.
Right.
But like sometimes like you do get those really weird venues. I know the Steelhawks used to play at Stabler Arena and like the end zones have like a little bit clipped off so and then like padding right at the back of the end zone. Like what's the most unique indoor venue you've been to or played at or coached?
When I was coaching a team in Canton, Ohio, we played a team in Steubenville, Ohio, and the end zone is supposed to be 8 yards wide. I mean, 8 yards long, deep. That end zone was like 5 yards. So
Isn't
you
that
can
the team that
imagine.
like had this is oh god no this team isn't this the team that like had two future killers on it? Like I think it's
It was
know
a, they had a wild team. They had a really wild team. I just remember. I mean that was a. I remember after the game we beat them like by quite a bit, and I just remember like they players was like trying to fight our guys, for get on the bus. It was just crazy, but they field was so small. Like the end zone was so small that you couldn't throw no deep balls. It was just crazy. So if you had your back to the end zone, it was almost impossible to kick the ball. So it was a. I just remember that end zone because it was just so small. And it was such a small arena, real hostile, and they didn't really have a good team. So
That's
you
probably
know,
why they were
they have,
hostile.
but they have a team for the fighter. Kind of like a bad hockey team. You don't really have a lot of skill guys, but you can fight. So they had that type of team.
And we are
yeah
talking
definitely
about,
that scrappy mentality.
yeah, it is in Stupidville, Ohio. I'll say it if you won't, man. We know what the nickname is.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is
well,
the nickname of the city, Stupidville. That's what Ohioans call it, man. It doesn't matter where you live; it's the same nickname. Um, Before we go here tonight, one, I want to thank you for being on the show, Coach. Appreciate
My
it.
pleasure.
Appreciate it a
My
lot.
pleasure.
Hopefully, as things progress, we can get some players on and talk with them.
Oh yeah.
I am dead set that, and I've told RJ this. Once the season kicks off and Columbus is playing, it's a 2.5 hour drive for me. I am coming down to Nationwide. I am going to get in there and I'm going to talk to you guys face to face, and cover these games for AFN here. But my, this year in the world of football has been, it's a dumpster fire, man. The whole year's
Oh
been
yeah.
nothing but
It's quite challenging.
and I'm sure that calling this year a dumpster fire is an insult to the dumpster fires that are out there.
yeah, I
So
know Browns get offended real easily.
Right.
look, I my prediction is because it is 2020, it's the year the Cleveland Browns will make it to the Super Bowl.
Okay, you know what? I'll agree. If there's a year for it to happen, this is it.
This is the year.
Right.
This is the year of the Cleveland Browns. But at least, hey,
Welcome to 2020, where there are no rules and nothing makes any sense.
exactly.
That'd be great for the city of Cleveland.
It, it would be, and honestly, like I've said this for decades. The day the Cleveland Browns win a Super Bowl, you think Corona has killed people? The Browns win the Super Bowl, and any guy from between the ages of 20 and 70 is going to drop dead of a coronary. Any football fan in Cleveland will drop dead of a coronary. You know why? Because life will have been completed. We do not live to see our children grow and mature and our great grandkids. We live for the day that the Cleveland Browns will finally bring home a Super Bowl trophy. I would say the
They have,
Lombardi trophy, but
a
that's
shot.
not the Lombardi anymore. So Ohio is a state that is full of passion for its sports, whether it's baseball, football, basketball. Go Cavs, go Tribe. I know it's not proper to call them the Indians anymore, but go Tribe. I appreciate everything that goes on down in Cincinnati. I'm not a Bengals fan, but then again, who is? Uh, I encourage all of our watchers out there on Facebook Live and YouTube. I want you to go. What is the IFL's website there, Coach?
The website.
Yeah, for the IFL.
I think it's IFL. It's
It's
IFL.com.
goifl.com.
Yeah, IFL.com.
Yeah, goifl.com.
OFI.com. Okay, what is the, and how can they reach out and find out about what's going on inside of the Wild Dogs organization? By the way, great name. Great name. Look, we've got Wildcats. It's like the most prolific name in all of football. There you go, Michael Washington Weeks. Wildcats, baby. The Wild Dogs. How did they come up with the name?
It was interesting. We had we had a fan vote thing. Like if you a fan and you can name, we gave about 6 months to send in all these names that they think that we should use. And ironic that we got like some really cool names. We had to break it down to like maybe 10. But the Wild Dogs came from the relationship that the Germain family had with the Columbus Zoo, and they had this new. They have an African safari area in at the zoo. They have these wild dogs.
Uh-huh.
So they gave the idea, and we liked it. It kind of made sense because when you know the history of the wild dogs, and you try to translate that to football, it makes sense because wild dogs are like they look like regular dogs, but and they travel in packs. You know, 20 wild dogs will take down a bull. You know, they real feisty and real mean like, and they know how to get down and dirty and eat and all this stuff. So it just kind of made sense that we named the football that because we want to have that type of football team. We want to travel in packs and we want to be a bunch of fighters.
Yeah, I'm just thankful we didn't go down the cliche aviators route again.
Right.
Which one, Orville or Wilbur?
Well, hey, look,
So, yeah.
you could be the city that houses the Cleveland Indians AAA team and go from being called the Arrows. We were the Akron Arrows, and now we are no longer the Arrows. And I can't even say the name of the team because if I do, it will make me really my stomach will turn, and I don't need
come on, it's a
that.
phenomenal name.
Is it? Go ahead, RJ.
The Akron Rubber Ducks is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, uh-huh. All I ever think about is like a huge bathtub with a toy floating around in it. The Arrows was a
You guys
cool
need to get
name.
Ernie just sing Rubber Ducky like before our opening pitch one game.
Yeah, okay, so we got a Sesame Street reference now in my city. I will say this though, when they do play, that stadium downtown is packed. And
Oh yeah.
and here's the thing. RJ, we have a stadium in Akron, Ohio, which would be the perfect place in the fall for a I'm gonna go there for a outdoor football team to hit that field. They would make money. They can't help but make money. We have
Yeah, and you got the Columbus Crew getting their new venue, so Matt Frey will be pretty empty, you know.
well, we've been talking about that. Coach, we were talking earlier. The highlight of this year for me and RJ and I we're not going to be here for a couple of weeks. We're going to take the holidays off, and we're going to come back in January with the best of and worst of. But I'm going to give you a little secret here. To me, the best and the worst of this year concerns one football league. And I know we talk about indoor and arena football,
Mhm.
but there was a league that came back in 2020 that set the world of football on fire. We were talking about the guys from the arena leagues that could possibly move up to this league. And we were given football that was fan centric. It was built around what we thought football should be, not what 32 billionaires think it should be.
Right.
31.
31, yeah, but who cares about Green Bay? That's the problem. Okay? Um, we were given this great rebirth of the XFL, and it set the football world on fire. Everybody was talking about it because at first, oh, it's not going to be nothing. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. It's going to fold. It's not going to last. Do you think, picking your brain here, had XFL 2020 been able to come to fruition with that championship game, do you think that we would be looking into 2021 going, I can't wait to watch XFL football in the spring?
I think so. I think the one thing that we got that was kind of unexpected, the first time the XFL came out years ago, it was more kind of they was
Gimmicky.
it was real football, kind of gimmicky, kind of. It was
WWF.
like wrestling mania mixed into football, so
Yep.
it kind of came like everything was staged.
Yep.
But this year they did a much better job. It was real football, and I mean it was good football. I think the only problem with the XFL is that if you're going to have a spring professional football league, you have to have names that we recognize. I know they had Cardell, Jones playing. They had a few other guys, but it really what it lacked was the names that we know. So just like when the USFL came out back in the what 80s, they had like good names. They had Herschel Walker and
Yep.
Mike
They
Beer
had
and
everybody. Brian Sipe, Doug Flutie.
right. They had
Scotty
like
Abrams.
hype. They had recent Heisman Trophy winners. In order for the XFL to really move the needle after week 4, they're gonna have to have some named players that we know. And so I think that will always be the issue with a league like that who had a good brand of football, but you gotta have people you got for people to watch, you gotta have stars.
Now, do you think we know that Dwayne the Rock Johnson
Right,
and
right.
Redbird Media have purchased
Yes.
the league, and they do plan to relaunch in 22?
Mm-hmm.
Now, with what you've said, do you think that with Dwayne's experience, and yes, I'll call him Dwayne, folks, he's moved beyond being The Rock. He's no longer this kayfabe WWE performer. He
Right.
is a worldwide phenomenon. He is probably
For sure.
this man is the most successful professional wrestler in the history of the business. However, he wasn't always a professional wrestler. At one time, he was on a championship football team down in Tampa,
That
Florida.
Miami, right?
Oh no,
Yeah.
Miami. You're right, Miami. Yeah, and he was a hard hitter. He was
Mm-hmm.
so. With his experience in the world of college football, do you think that he's looking to bring this league back in? Like you said, maybe reach out to some names that we've heard of.
Poach them from the CFL. I say go for some
I,
CFL names.
I think with his popularity, when it first come out, the first 2 or 3 weeks, I think it would be great. But as far as will he be able to get some stars, that's all. It's all about the money now because if you go back to the '80s when the USFL came out, they was paying guys just as much as the NFL was paying guys. So remember Herschel Walker got it. I think Donald Trump actually owned the team with the
Generals.
Yeah.
New Jersey General. He
Yeah.
was the owner, so he paid Herschel like $2 million a year with
Yeah,
that.
and they try to convince the rest of the league to pay the contract.
Right, so he getting that crazy contract. So I don't know if the XFL going to pay guys anywhere near what the NFL paying guys. So I think The Rock is a very smart man, a smart dude, a very popular, well-known guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's an athlete himself. I think it's the way you do it. You got to really brand yourself with people, with players who people know and recognize. So I don't know.
Do you think his involvement could lead players that people know to look at the league in a different light? Not like this is Vince McMahon who owns the WWE, who's
Right,
this on.
right,
People know Vince McMahon from what they've seen on
right. For wrestling,
WWE, on
right,
wrestling. They don't
right.
realize that outside of the ring.
Or just some, off-screen things like, ICO Pro.
Yeah, but you have to look at a man who has taken a business that is fake. It's totally fake. We know this. Wrestling is a predetermined sport. I'm not going to say it's not a sport because I'm going to tell you what it is very difficult to do what those men and women do inside of that ring, even though it is choreographed, or if they're really good, I doubt they choreograph it. They just lead each other through the matches in the ring. And I know that to be true because for a decade I've done professional wrestling talk radio. I've interviewed some of the best in the business. But I do feel that with the Rock's presence, the game it will bring other players to the game. It will bring players that normally wouldn't be interested in playing in that league to the game because I think they see him as a more of an athlete and a businessman than a sports entertainer.
Definitely.
And I think we like to say the internet connection here tonight. Anyway, folks, it's time for us to say goodbye to you, to all of our friends here. What I was saying was, I think that with The Rock's presence, because people look at him in a different light, they're not seeing him. He's transcended being a pro wrestler to become this Hollywood megastar. He's the highest paid man in Hollywood. He's probably his career as an actor is going to go down as probably one of the most stellar. I really think that he's going to get that role someday, just like Will Smith. It took Will Smith to get that role that got him an Academy Award
Right.
or the nominations. And I think Dwayne the Rock Johnson is going to get an Academy Award for Best Actor once he gets that role. Once he moves out of the action genre or comedies and into, and I really think he could do it, a dramatic role. I would love
Mhm.
to see him pull off a dramatic role because I think,
How about a film on the like? He just makes a documentary while the XFL is going on, just about the XFL as it happens, just casually.
and you know what? I think that would be a huge hit, and it would be something, a product that could be sold to a network that they could play while the season's not there to keep people reminded. Hey, this is the XFL. This is the backstage stuff. This is the guys who got PO'd, came back to the locker room cussing and screaming. That would be reality football, and that's something we
Mhm.
don't have. And I'm sure that he's probably got that in the back of his head because we live in the era of TV where reality, no matter how fake and scripted it is, makes money. And we have proof of that with all the networks that have these reality shows that are top 10 cable shows.
I think I think for The Rock, I think something he might want to look at the best way to try to connect the NFL and the XFL is try to make it more like a feeder league to the NFL. So those guys who are like backups now NFL or on the practice squad
Hmm.
have a team full of those guys, So then you get a guy like the Ravens third string quarterback, Masoli, that went to Penn State. That'd be a guy that play in the XFL, who's also a third string quarterback with the NFL. I think something he can do something like that to try to.
All depends on the collective bargaining agreement, really, because I know the NFLPA is very stodgy about contact practices in the off season.
Well, and
Yeah,
here's
but the World League did that. The World League was something like that. The World League was connected to the NFL.
Mhm.
They would see guys over there. They would play overseas, and they come back over here. So I think it have to be more like a 5 game season that you can do in the early spring, maybe.
What
That's
about,
that'd be my vote.
and I know RJ brought this up earlier, and this is actually one of my hopes. It's to bring in some of those CFL players that were so damn good because they
Yeah,
have talent and they have names. There were people up in the CFL that even the NFL is looking at these guys going, maybe we should sign this guy and bring him in. There are plenty of NFL players that have CFL credentials. So and it would I you know what I think with the name of The Rock and Redbird, maybe this would be a serious thing for the NFL will seriously look at this as a feeder league and say, wait, let's kind of partner with them. Maybe we can do something to help them. Even if it's like going over to the networks and saying, hey, we know that the deal you had with this was the deal you had with McMahon, but this is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be backing these guys. We're going to support this league. We're going to give them cred because of the men and women who operate the league. So how about you work out a reasonable TV deal with them so that they can make money off their advertising instead of a 50-50 split? How about a 60-40? They get 60, so they're actually going to profit from the TV deal in the long run. And I also think that you're going to see contracts. They may not be millions of dollars, but I definitely think you're going to see the average pay be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I think the talent's going to, instead of it being the tier where the quarterback's the highest paid guy, they have a few guys that get good money, and then you have other guys who don't make such good money. I really think that the pay model is going to change because I think that the people that are involved now
hmm
have bought this league because they see a serious investment, a serious potential in what this can be. I don't think they've got it in their minds that this is going to be a one and done season. They've got, hey, we're going to be here for 50 years. This is going to be something that's passed down to the people, to the this is a league that's going to stand the test of time. And if for viewers and listeners out there, the XFL went a bunch of seasons. It wasn't like it was one season. The XFL played for what, like 4 or 5 years, or the USFL. My bad.
Went for 3
USFL.
years.
Pardon me.
Went for 3 years.
Yeah, and in the world of alternative football, and we know this from the arena and indoor leagues, 3 years is a long time. It shows commitment,
Right.
and I hope that all of our viewers out there, all the listeners, I hope you have a great holiday. I want to thank you, Coach, for coming on. Where can folks get a hold of you on social media? Twitter, Facebook, all that good junk.
Yeah, I'm on IG as well as you know, Facebook. My IG name is Olive Bobby. So that's my IG account. So that's where you can find me most on either Instagram or Facebook.
All right. I want to say happy holidays to everyone out there. Um, I know this has been a trying year for everybody. We still have a long way to go before we're over the
Sure.
this pandemic that's out there. Remember, right now, I know that the holiday season it's going to be rough on a lot of us. Some of us have we don't have the money to give the Christmas that we wish we could give because of the economy. Um, a lot of states, particularly where I'm at here in Ohio, we're under a 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew, so we have to abide by that. But do not let what's going on in the world around you dampen your spirit because
Mm-hmm.
because that is this is the one time a year when as human beings we tend to let all of our grievances with other people go, and we may not like them, but if we see someone we don't like in public we're at least going to smile at them and walk by them thinking in our head what kind of a scum they are, but at least we're not.
If they can see the smile under the mask, that is.
Yeah, exactly. um, Wear your masks, and I'm going to tell you right now, quit putting that brown sugar and that pineapple and those cherries on your ham. Do something different. Do what I do, folks. I take my. I'm gonna give you a good recipe. Instead of using the pineapple and cherries, take your ham and rub the outside with brown sugar. Get all that brown sugar worked into that ham, and then get yourself a big old can of peaches, and pour over that ham, and then go and baste that thing with that peach broth. Okay, and then when you're done, you take those peaches and you run them through the mixer to make a like a gravy or a sauce for on top of your ham. Oh, it's the best. But I'm kind of conceited about that because that's my personal way I make ham. It's the way I like it, peach flavored, because peaches are tasty, but they're not going to be as tasty as 2022 when the Columbus Wild Dogs make their official debut in the IFL. So everybody out there, be kind to each other. I hope Santa brings you what you want. RJ, you're not getting the Xbox. You're not getting the Xbox. You're not getting the Xbox. It's sold out. I think they do that just to make people like RJ sad. I can't get the Xbox because the demand is not there. But it is what it is. Coach, do you have any holiday wishes for the fans out there watching?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback what you just said. I wish everyone happy holidays. I know this is a unfortunate year for everyone, and just try to keep the spirits up and just look forward to a really good 2021.
RJ?
Yeah, just I know it's been a rough year for everybody, but hey, we've made it basically, and like y'all said, be kind to one another. You know, you don't have to agree on everything, just be respectful, and that's about it. Have a good holiday. Enjoy the what you got going on.
There you go. From
All
the
right, guys.
from our family to yours, happy holidays. Have a great new year. We're going to be taking a couple-week break here for the holidays, recouping. We're going to be back here on January 7th, and hopefully we can have a guest on to talk to you. We're working on something. But until then, from Alternative Football News Network, thank you for
Thanks,
almost
guys.
almost
Appreciate it.
2
Thank you.
years, RJ. Almost 2 years now, RJ.
My lord.
Almost 2 years. Actually, I think January 7th will make our second anniversary. So we've been doing
Jeez,
this.
no wonder we argue like an old married couple.
That could be. That could be. Anyway, we'll see you in 2021. Hopefully, well, that's all we can do right now is hopefully.
All right.
Happy
Thanks,
holidays.
guys. Appreciate it.
Not a problem, Coach. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. Have a great
Thank
one.
you,
And
Coach.
hey, come back
You too.
anytime.
All
Come
right.
back anytime.